Hey guys, welcome back to the Struggleville YouTube channel. I wanted to start doing a series of videos, hopefully weekly, on some different items that you can sell on eBay, give you guys some ideas, but I don't want it to just be like a list, because I feel like you could just walk around your house and every item in your house is listed on eBay. Like really, like everything is listed on eBay, so just a list isn't really beneficial. A year or two ago I had bought an ebook. It was probably free because I don't think I would have bought this, but it was like X amount of items to sell on eBay. And it was trash because all it was like the title. So like number one was typewriters, and then it was just a generic picture of a typewriter. Like I don't know what the hell a typewriter is. And then it would go on to number two, and it was like 100 items like that. And I thought that's so stupid. Like that doesn't help at all. So I'm hoping this will be somewhat educational or beneficial for some people, give them some ideas. I want to go through the whole process of finding the item, listing the item, maybe some tips on how to get it listed and taking pictures, and shipping the item. So for this first video, I just want to talk about power adapters, power cords, charge cables, whatever you want to call them. Just little cables like this. Plug into devices, electronic things that are around your house. It's not the fastest moving item because you are looking for a specific buyer. You need someone who needs this cord right here. But there's not a lot of people selling them. They're really cheap. They're easy and light to ship. So there's a lot of pluses. Typically, I won't get these at just a regular thrift store. I usually look for them at garage sales because you can get a better deal. If you ever went to a garage sale where there's like a box at the end of the driveway that said free on it, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10 it's got at least one cord like this in there. And I'm not talking about like cell phone chargers because 99% of the time those are garbage and not worth anything. But like an electric razor charger, a power cord to a surround sound system, even cordless phone, not cell phone, a cordless phone power cable can be worth something. So stuff like that. Because what happens is the device still works, but for whatever reason, maybe someone's pet chews through the cord, or it breaks in some other way, or the thing just quits working. People need a replacement. They don't want to buy the whole item. So looking from the buyer's perspective, they're going to type in the brand name of their item. So in this case, it's a Samsung. And they're going to type in the model number. DVS-135A, whatever. So your item's going to come up. And people are going to buy it. I mean, they sell. I have, not at the moment, but I've sold over 100 of these things now. I've been doing it for a little while, so that's why I want to give you guys some tips. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on it. I know enough to make a little money out of it. I really don't think there's much point with anything on eBay to become an expert in one field because it's just too much time spent that doesn't need to be. And I'd rather be more diversified and just have a base of knowledge across a lot of different items. So when you're in the store looking for these things, all you're looking at is the model number and the brand name, and you're going to look up the sold listings, see if any have sold, what they're selling for. Like I said, I usually go to garage sales. You can even get like a box of them really cheap. You'll see them in garage sales where people just have a box full of cords, and you know, you're hoping a lot of them aren't extension cords because most of those aren't. Well, those can be worth something too, but most of them won't be. A lot of the cords I have right now came from a barn sale, and I got 3 boxes for like 20 bucks, 3 really big boxes, and that's where most of the cords I have now are. So anyway, when you're outsourcing, just look up the brand name, the model number, make sure the cord itself is not broken or damaged in any way, because obviously that would be a reason not to pick it up. Before you list it, you do want to test these things. And all you're going to do is check the voltage. So these labels amazingly have a lot of information on them. And I don't know if you can read it on the screen, but this one says output 13.5 volts. So we just want to make sure it does that. And it's not going to be exact. I mean, if it comes up 13.8 or something, that's fine. You just don't want it to be 0, and you don't want it to say like 30 for some reason. So I'm just going to plug it in here. We got a little electrical meter, multimeter deal here. If you don't have one of these, I'll put a link in the description below. It is kind of essential to have to sell these things just because you don't want to not test them and tell someone something works and they get it, and that's just a great way to get negative feedback if they got it and it didn't work. So we're just going to go to voltage. Yours could be different. This was actually Harbor Freight has these free after a coupon. I can't remember if this particular one is a Harbor Freight one or not, but they do have it. Otherwise, they're really cheap on like Amazon. You don't have to go out and buy an expensive one for this. But anyways, what I was getting to is you can just look in the owner's manual. If you don't know how to check the voltage, it'll show you how to check DC voltage. So, this is called a barrel connector. It is a male barrel connector. It's called a male because it has an outie. The female has an innie. And some millennials might tell you that that doesn't matter on male or female, but for electrical parts, it matters. That's male. So, we got two little probes, a positive and a negative. It doesn't matter which is which, because if you do it backwards, it's just going to give you a negative reading instead of a positive, but it's going to give you the same number. And all we care about is the number. This particular one, it's too, the inside's too small for the probe to fit in there to get you a reading. So what you need is, oh crap, I don't have it here. Hold on, I'm not prepared. What you need is like a little safety pin. This actually came from one of my pinback buttons that I sell. So that's a lot smaller. We're going to stick that down the middle. You can use a paper clip too, but I like this because it's got this loop at the end, so I can just slide this guy in here. Make sure it's in all the way, and then just touch the other end to the outside. And I don't imagine you guys can read my screen, so let's see if we can do two things at once. It's sideways, you'll get the idea, you'll see it. So you can see this one's coming up close enough to 13.5 that that's definitely working. So that's how you can test them. Another thing you might want to put in the listing, but it isn't essential, is these all are different sizes. Like, hopefully I don't mix these things up. You can see that the barrel connectors are different sizes. So you might want to put the outer dimension of the barrel connector, and most of them are going to be barrel connectors. Some of them are going to be different, but so this is a little digital caliper thing. And if you switch it to millimeters, because that's what they're all going to be listed as, so you'd call that 5.5, because that's a standard size for these guys. You can put that in there. It's not essential because most people don't know that anyways. So that one went here. So that brings me to another thing about these. When I list them, I bag every one of them with my little thermal sealer thing. You can see my shrink wraps right here. And I number every one of them. So this is number 72. And I do that to make it a lot easier to find them. When I first started, I just threw them all in a big tub. So imagine having about 30 or 40 of these in a tub, and then one sells. And you have to first look at the picture to get an idea, is it like this size, or is it a big ass thing like this? And once you get that narrowed down, then you're looking at model numbers. And so let's say I got like 10 or 15 that look like this, then you're looking at the model number for each one. Huge pain in the ass, took way too much time. So numbering them is really easy. I have them in like a big 4-tiered tub now, and I actually just line them up so I kind of know they're in order, so it's really easy to find when one sells. So numbering them, when you're taking the pictures, the most important thing, really the only most important thing, I was going to say most important things, but to get the brand name and just this label. Make sure this label is readable, so people can see that the output voltage matches what they need. They can see the model number matches what they have, and that it's the same brand. The other thing that is somewhat important, and it becomes more important if you have a goofy end here, if it's not like a regular barrel connector, take a picture of the end that plugs into whatever device it goes to. Because I've had a couple where people returned it because the end didn't match theirs. So you really want to make sure they can see that. Now when you ship them, it's really easy because they're almost all going to be under a pound, so they'll go first class. This one's over a pound because it's a big ass pain, but you can just slide it in a bubble mailer if you don't have bubble mailers, or if they don't fit in one. Other times I've wrapped in just a single layer of bubble wrap and then put it in a poly mailer. So you can expect most of these to ship for $2.60 until USPS fees go up, then it'll be a little bit more. So this one is a little different, so we can look at it real quick. This probably goes to maybe a printer or something. It's IBM. And you can see the connector is completely different. And you don't have to worry about when it's something goofy like that. These labels will tell you. Again, it's going to have to be sideways because I can't get it straight, but hopefully you guys can see that or read it. It says 16 volt, and you see the negative sign on the left 2 prongs and the positive sign on the right prongs. And it's got this little dimple thing on the top. So you're just going to line it up the same way, the little dimple thing on the top. So you put the negative probe on the left and the positive on the right, and just make sure that you have the right voltage there. Something like this will probably have to go in a padded flat rate, or just a regular flat rate with some padding in it. That'd probably be fine too. So that's it, guys. Just a little idea, something you can check out at garage sales and stuff. I mean, if you're at a thrift store, my thrift store is selling for 99 cents. So if you can get them color of the day or week or whatever, you're talking 50 cents, which isn't bad. And some of them do sell for a lot. Like, it varies a ton. I have 2 left of one that I had maybe 4 of. I think it was a set of 4 at one time. I got it at a Fill-A-Bag. It was still in a box. And I think they're for speakers. I don't know if it was surround sound or vintage speakers. Anyways, I've sold 1 or 2. I don't know. I have 2 left. 40 bucks. I have them for 40 bucks. So, and that's the most I've sold any of the cords for, 40. A lot of these will sell from 15 to 20, 10 to 15 on some of them. But hey, that's the same that a lot of people are selling clothes for. And to me, this is easier. It takes up less space. And you saw how fast you can test one of these things. Typically, if I get a box full and there's 20 of them, I'm just going to test all of them at once and be done with it. So yeah, hope this was educational.